You're listening to Zap Night, a video game review podcast, with your hosts, Danny and Kaylie. Hey guys, and welcome to a special episode of Zap Night. Today we are going to talk about a bunch of thrift shop games, specifically PlayStation 1 racing games. I'm your host, Danny.
Yes, and I'm your co-host, Kaylie.
Kaylie's back!
Yay!
Well, I mean, for this episode.
Yes.
Still not fully ready to dedicate to play a full game, but it's cool to come and do some of these thrift shop games with me, so that's a lot of fun. Happy to have you on for an extra bonus episode. We already played a handful of racing games for the PlayStation. You can catch all of our original footage over on our YouTube channel, which you can find everything at zapnight.com. So before I actually dig into our reviews for these games, I kind of wanted to tell you guys that I've got a contest starting up. Actually right now when this episode airs. Stay tuned until the end and I'll give you a little more detail about that. First off, Kaylie, how have you been?
I've been awesome. Got a screaming infant at home.
That's awesome.
He's wearing me down. I'm sleep deprived, like the good old days.
Well, then you should have plenty of time.
You would think, yes.
To play games.
You know, as surprising as it is, it's very hard to play with a controller when you only have one hand available.
Let's talk about some of our thrift shop games. The first game that we ended up playing was Land Before Time, Great Valley Racing Adventure. You know, I actually bought 2 copies of this game, and I don't know why.
Because you knew it would be amazing. Maybe one of the discs are scratched. No, you just really
the software that I use to keep track of all my games, I guess I didn't check it, or I don't know what the details are, but whatever, I have 2 copies. So if somebody wants our second copy, just email us and let us know. We'll ship it to you. I got both of them for $1.99 at a thrift shop, so that's, $4 total? That's not awful for a video game. What was the year? Do you remember?
I believe it was 2001?
Yes, you're right, 2001. And the graphics really aren't that great. They're kind. You were saying that it was kind of reminiscent of Spyro. Is that
the gameplay? Yes. The cutscenes, no, not at all.
No. Yeah, I agree. The gameplay was similar in art style to Spyro. Maybe it has to do with them all being dinosaurs, similar to dragons.
Maybe.
But I don't know. The graphics weren't great. What I found interesting, being that it's a racing game, I instinctively thought that it would be like kart racing, like little dinosaurs and like little trucks. But no, they were just running and leaping over logs and collecting star leaves. Tree stars, yeah, that's what it is. Tree stars.
We watched these movies. We should know this.
I haven't watched this movie in a long time. I should.
I have it on DVD.
Do you really?
Yes, I do. I got it as a gift.
Nice. I don't know. What did you think of the game?
I mean, honestly, of all the games that we've played, this wasn't the worst one. It was okay. I think we would have had fun with this when we were younger. Maybe playing like with our younger sister, but
I think
it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't that great.
I agree. I think it's probably the best game of all of them that we played.
I don't think so.
No. Well, yeah. Okay, I agree. Second best.
Yes, I will settle for that.
There's another one that is a little bit better than this. But yeah, maybe second best. I enjoyed it. Lori played with us too, and she got motion sickness just by I don't know if it's the camera is funny.
Oh, the cameras were very bad. It's like they weren't. If they were keeping up with you, it wasn't for very long, and it was like it was almost inverted. I don't know. It was very strange.
You didn't control the camera, you controlled the character, and the camera followed. So it did kind of have that weird sensation when you turned a corner where it didn't quite keep up with the character. But overall, I mean, the controls were okay. The jumping wasn't very responsive.
No.
But I don't know. It wasn't an awful game. What would you give it out of 10?
Out of 10? 6, maybe?
Okay, I was gonna give it a 7. So, I mean, that works. So, we're not, like, doing anything with these scores. We're just giving you an idea of how we felt about the game. It's not like, these are tallying up to some master score like they do in our normal reviews. But, just to give you an idea of how we felt about the game, a 7 is a fair number in my opinion. Like 6 would be for you.
Yeah.
The music was meh, the controls were meh, but overall the gameplay was pretty fun. There wasn't a whole lot of tracks to choose from. There wasn't a whole lot of characters to choose from.
There really wasn't a whole lot of sustenance. I mean, really, the character's theme, the Land Before Time, that's really the only thing carrying it. It's just a game that they threw out to make more money off of this movie. That's how it feels to me.
The voice acting was really...
I thought it kind of sounded very similar to their original voice actors.
I thought it sounded, similar to the voice actors.
Just the audio was...
It reminded me a lot of the Flintstones game that we played.
Oh,
you remember that?
Yeah.
And did we do that for a thrift shop? I think we did. So, I mean, that's kind of how I felt. It was very similar in feel to the Flintstones game, which, I mean, I guess makes sense since they're both kind of off of movies or, whatever. So, our next game was Tyco RC Assault with a Battery.
Oh my gosh.
What did you think about this game, Kaylie?
It was not the worst. But it was probably the second worst.
I agree. I got this one for $1.99 as well. It's kind of it's a racing game, but it's a lot like Mario Kart in that you get the power-ups and you kind of are attacking each other. It's in the RC brand, so you're playing as these little like remote control cars. And I think the best aspect of this game was that one track where you're like
super tiny.
Your
little cars, right?
You notice your tininess. Yes. You notice, going underneath the actual cars in a real world type setting where you're on a roadway and you're going underneath the cars and weaving between traffic, and that was kind of fun.
Was that like one of 3 tracks in the whole
there was
game?
Only the 3 tracks, and honestly, all these games I feel like we played a significant amount, and it was only like maybe 15 minutes per game. I mean, we didn't play a ton of all these games, but I don't know, this one, the worst part about it was probably the camera, and then the second worst was the graphics.
Oh my gosh.
The graphics were pretty bad.
You could never even see where the track was. Like, you couldn't tell if it was the wall or what. Like, it was a mess. It was not very good.
This was a 2000 game, so I mean, the graphics really could have been better. It is PlayStation, so whatever, I guess I get it, but yeah, it didn't meet my expectations. I kind of felt bad.
I'm looking in the booklet now, and it looks like they have a couple more. Maybe you have to unlock them or something.
Oh, yeah. I think that they had more cars, too, that you could unlock.
There's
still,
8 courses,
even with
but
that, it was kind of a sad...
That was... yeah.
It definitely didn't make me feel like I wanted to play more of this game.
No, although it did make me want to go play with a really tiny car.
I love remote control cars, so I mean, why not?
The power-ups on this one were kind of weird, and, there's no, like, button explanation, and it just...
Yeah, I've played a couple games where the loading screen had, like, your button map, so that in between your loading, in between your gameplay, you had an opportunity to kind of get an idea of what you're doing to control your car, your whatever. And this game, instead of anything like that, they had a loading screen where you played like Pong.
That was fun.
And I liked that they were little cars.
Yes.
And I think that they should do that in more games. I think that, like, Final Fantasy 15, if they had a mini game during the loading screens, you would at least be entertained the whole time instead of sitting there twiddling your thumbs for 10 minutes in between, fast travels.
Interestingly enough, though, up until I think last November, there's been a patent on the mini games on the loading screens by Namco Bandai, and that basically games haven't been able to do that, but they use
So basically, Namco thought, hey, we should put mini games on the loading screens,
Yes.
and they put a patent on that. That seems really bizarre. But I guess if they can patent it, why not? Well, if it's expired now, maybe we will see some of that in the future. That would be kind of nice, because I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
I wonder how this game got around that patent.
I mean, it could be... I don't know when the patent was.
I don't know. I mean... I haven't seen loading screen mini games since
long
like
time,
Tekken.
Yeah.
So I don't know. In any case, fun game. What would you give it out of 10?
Probably a 5.
Okay. I think I'm gonna agree with you and go with 5 as well. I don't know. I just said that it was a fun game. I don't know if I'd play it again though. Just sad. Moving on to the next game. I actually really enjoyed this game.
Yes, I did like this one too.
This I picked up for $1. I think it was at a garage sale. It's kind of handwritten on here like it was from a garage sale. It's Sled Storm. This was released 2000, yep. Like I said, I really liked this game. It's a pretty basic racing game with snowmobiles. Yeah, snowmobiles instead of the normal car. And you're on like snowy tracks, and I don't know, I enjoyed this game quite a bit. It was a greatest hits edition, so obviously enough people like this game in order for it to deserve a greatest hits release.
Was this the one with the music?
Yeah, it was the one with the music. They actually had
Rob Zombie.
They bought tracks to be able to include in here, and yeah, Rob Zombie was the original, like the opening track.
Yeah.
It was Rob Zombie Dracula. If anybody cares.
I thought it was interesting on this one, which it was annoying at first, but then it was a little manageable when you learn the controls, but you can actually fall off your vehicle if you hit the wall too hard, if you if you
bank
forward,
too far.
Yeah. And it had a realistic spin on it, and it wasn't too overpoweringly annoying.
Yeah, I noticed a couple times when playing that while you still fell off your vehicle, they reset you fast enough that you didn't lose
it wasn't too much time.
Yeah. Unlike another game further down. If you crash in this game or whatever, you respawn, but it's pretty quick. You don't lose too much.
No, in fact, I think one of these I won first place, and I had fallen behind like once or twice.
Yeah, I was like that too, where I won, I think maybe 1 or 2 first place, and you crash once and you fall to the back of the pack, but you manage to build your way back up again. Now, this game, I wanted to say, is actually a 4-player game.
That you don't see that very often.
You don't see that very often. Yeah, they have a multi-tap controller pack for the PlayStation. I actually have one. I pointed at my wall. It's not on the wall. But I actually have one, and I would be curious to see how well that plays out. On the back, it shows just like the traditional 4-square view, just like you would see in like Mario Kart for the Game Boy, or for the Nintendo 64.
A lot of these racing games have shortcuts and whatnot, and I felt like I had seen a possibility for a couple of shortcuts.
I think I did too, and I think I kind of used a few of them as well.
Did you? I tried.
So.
I couldn't quite get it to where I could get over. I wasn't sure if they were supposed to be shortcuts.
There was
not.
one track, and I think it was the Wolf one.
Yeah.
Where there was the visual track went left or right over this mound, or you could go over the mound. And if you went over the mound, you could end up over a bunch of logs where there was another track back behind there.
See, that's what I was trying to get, and I could never land it good enough.
Yeah, I managed to get that a couple times. But yeah, I mean, this was a pretty fun game. I could see me picking this up and playing it just to play it. I liked the snowmobile aspect to it. The sprites looked okay. The atmosphere didn't look great, but it wasn't awful.
No. I mean, for what, 2000? It really was not. Yeah. Compared to our other games where the graphics were botchy at best.
Yeah, it wasn't awful. I would give it maybe an 8 out of 10. Or no, you know what? I'll give it a 9 out of 10.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll give it an 8.
I mean, it's
between a 7 and an 8.
For me, it's how fun was it? It wasn't like super fun. Like maybe Hydro Thunder would be.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun, and I would pick it up and play it again.
I think for this time period, definitely, because like our other games are around the same time period, and this one for sure is
there's
way better organized than the others.
That's something funny about. We kind of just picked all these games out of what I have on my game wall for thrift shop games, and they're all about the same age.
I think our oldest one is 1998, maybe, but
yeah, I think it might be.
I think it was this one.
Yeah, the next one coming up, or the last one that we got. Good game, not too terrible.
Bad.
So the next game we got up is Vigilante 8. And I
hated this game.
I got this for $1.99 at a thrift shop.
That was $1.98 too much.
99.
190. No, 198. It was worth
Vigilante
1 cent.
8. Oh yeah, actually they owe us a cent back. This was a 98.99 game. It's a greatest hits, so I kind of expected more out of it. I have heard of this series before. I kind of knew what I was getting into, especially looking at the cover where it's like a school bus firing a bunch of missiles. However, the whole reason why we picked this was because you wanted to drive a school bus.
I want to drive the school bus, and we didn't get to drive the school bus.
We didn't.
We had to fight the school bus.
We did fight the school bus, and we lost terribly.
Well, we were fighting 3 school buses.
Yeah.
That's a lot of bus.
That's a lot of bus. It was okay graphic-wise.
The controls
were tough.
No, they were terrible.
They were terrible. It really is kind of a knockoff of Twisted Metal. Basically the same game, just not so great.
Yeah.
It's from Activision, which is well known for making decent computer games. And again, don't get me wrong, the graphics are okay.
It's just the rest of it, I don't know, combined it just was not very well executed.
It's just, the power-ups were very limited. There wasn't a ton of power-ups. And they were kind of tough to use.
Or kind of tough to get to.
I think the maps were too big too.
Yeah,
and I
definitely.
think that was a problem. Like, when we were just playing against each other the first round, trying to actually
we didn't see each other for like the first
and they give you a map to show you exactly where your character is, where your opponents are on the map, and I still had a hard time finding you. And I don't know, it just...
I did think what was cool was when we were fighting the buses, you could go through, like, the pipes and stuff, and it would, like, shoot you off to a different... And I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I did notice that. I really thought that I was taking damage falling into that, like,
were you?
Pond or whatever. I don't know if I was for sure, but it seemed like I might have been.
I didn't even notice we had a damage counter until I didn't even look at all the stuff. I was too focused on the controls being so chaotic, because you'd hit the button to go left, and you'd be almost turning around completely by then. The controls
were pretty weird. Oh, something also that happened. I fell off a bridge in this game, and I was upside down, and they didn't, like, respawn me. They just left me there upside down. So then you had to, like, push the left and right buttons to kind of rock yourself back and forth until eventually you flip back over again.
That's funny.
So, I mean... that I kind of liked that. I liked that, hey, if you fall upside down, you can make yourself back upright again. We're not going to help you. But in the meantime, you're vulnerable to whoever might come across you.
It's interesting.
I could see where this would be a fun online game. It's not an online game by any means. But I could see where it might be a fun online game. Kind of like the battle system or the battle games in Mario Kart would be.
I would stick to Twisted Metal if you're...
Agreed, yeah. You definitely go with Twisted Metal. What would you give this out of 10?
A 5.
I was going to say a 4, yeah.
I think 4. I think 4 is fair.
Okay.
I was going to say 4, but I almost felt like I was lowballing it, but
I don't think so.
It's bad.
Funny that we give this a lower score out of the Tyco RC game.
I think, like I said, when we were playing this game, if the controls are bad, it ruins the whole thing for me, because you can't enjoy it if you can't play it.
I think that the RC game had a charm to it.
Yeah.
And this game definitely didn't have any charm to it at all. They kind of played off of this, like, hillbilly type vibe, like when you first...
In the 70s?
Oh, yeah, it was the 70s theme. I'm wrong. It was a 70s theme, and it was very...
There was a couple hillbilly characters, too, though, to be fair.
Yeah, that's true. And each character had their own, like, specialty move, and... it was a deeper game than we really gave it a lot of credit for, but I don't think I could get myself to play it anymore.
You couldn't give any more than the 15 minutes you gave.
Exactly, yeah. So I don't know, not a very great game. I'm sorry if you love this game, because I'm sure there's a following for it out there, but...
I'd probably take this back to the thrift store.
You know what, just donate
me, sir,
this.
This is terrible.
Well, in my opinion... that was the second worst game of the night.
I felt like that was the worst.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so the next game that we got coming up is NASCAR 99. And this, in my opinion, was probably the worst game of all of them.
It is what it sounds like. You're playing NASCAR. You are NASCAR.
You're playing NASCAR as a NASCAR driver. And this game has taken realism to a fault. It's like they put all of the effort into it being a realistic, true to NASCAR game that it's just boring. It's just straight up boring. You can pick every character from the 98, 99 lineup from NASCAR.
I was McDonald's.
which is all drivers in this game no longer are driving. Which is okay. I get it. I mean, things change a lot in almost 20 years.
Oh my gosh.
But, yeah, it's just, your cars went really slow. The damage I was expecting to be a little more extravagant, and it wasn't extravagant at all.
No, I think I barely even took off before I was done.
Yeah, I don't even think you had like 2 laps.
I think I hit something
crashed.
on the front, and someone hit me in the back, and that was it. I was done.
Then we had to turn the damage off. And then we were able to at least complete the race. However, I think we made it to like 2nd or 3rd place. And then
we were doing really good.
We crashed, and then we went straight to the back of the pack. And then you ended up in the pits for some reason. And, if you're a hardcore NASCAR fan, this might be fun once. After that, it's just a boring game. To sit and watch NASCAR, it's a little bit different. Only because... you see everything that's going on at once, and you can root for everyone or whoever it is that you're rooting for during the race. And this kind of takes the fun out of NASCAR itself. It's not a fun game. The newer NASCAR games are a little bit more fun because it takes that realism. It's even more realistic, so you really do feel like you're driving in a NASCAR car. However... this game, it's too old to really have that true realism, and it just falls flat.
What did you think of the advertisements at the beginning? If that's what they were. It was like their opening.
Yeah. The EA Sports, advertisement at the beginning of the game was awful. What a weird idea.
It was like we were watching a commercial. It was really weird.
I guess I get it, because EA Sports makes all these sports games, so why not advertise your other games? If you like NASCAR, you must also like hockey, and baseball, and soccer, But, I mean, anybody who plays games knows that there's sports games out there, and they also know that you don't pay money for sports games. Because give it a year, and that sport game that you paid $20 for is now $2 at a thrift shop. So, I don't know, I thought it was weird.
It looked like an honest commercial. It was like, we didn't even really have much of an intro here.
Yeah, I agree. And, you've also got the advertisements on the cars themselves. So not only do you...
I understood that.
How much money do you think EA Sports really put into this game? If they had all the sponsorships from the cars, plus the sponsorships from the ad that they ran at the beginning of the game for all the other games, I mean, EA, they probably put no money of their own money into it. It was probably all sponsor money. So no wonder why it was so awful, because they just paid with sponsor money.
There you go.
Like, all the NASCAR sponsors were like, yeah, we want a game really bad. And they're like, well, I guess. We have no idea what we're doing, but we'll do it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10.
I will give it a 4. I don't think it was that bad, but it was pretty bad. I don't think it was the worst game. I think the last one was pretty bad.
The Vigilante 8?
Yeah.
Yeah, this game, I just didn't want to play it. Like, we played like a 12-lap race. And
that was just 12
laps
like too many.
12 laps and no damage on, and I was bored within the first 5 laps. Like, I didn't feel like I was really going fast.
Yeah, and really,
even though
it's a racing game, you need to feel fast.
You're hitting over 200 miles an hour. You need to feel that speed, and I just wasn't feeling it.
Well, and really, too, you're playing a video game, and I understand that if you're into NASCAR, this is a good game to play. It's NASCAR. But, if you're going to play a video game, you want, like, power-ups and all these different things. And the only thing that you really get in this game that's not just going in slaps is going into the pit, and that's it.
Yeah, I know.
And you get better tires or something.
That's a typical NASCAR game. Or that's a typical NASCAR thought process.
I understand that.
However, if I could go back in time to 1998 or 1999, I would tell any person who had a copy of this game, hey, just buy Gran Turismo. Because you're going to have a much greater experience. Because Gran Turismo, essentially, it's the same game. It's a bigger variety of cars, and you really feel that speed. It's so much better. The physics are better in that game. This is
what I'm trying to say. Sports are games, correct?
Sure.
And when you play football, you have your different things for football, your different things for baseball, your ins and outs and all that, where there really isn't much to NASCAR. So to play a video game of this, I don't think NASCAR itself is a good game to be playing. There's no power-ups,
I half agree.
Anything.
Because somebody who's a fan of NASCAR would really like the newer NASCAR games. I enjoy some of the newer NASCAR games because those physics are working correctly. You feel the speed of the car. When you run into another car, it hits and you get damage.
We didn't even get that satisfaction.
Right, I know, that's what I'm saying. This game, NASCAR 98 or 99, is just
a bunch of people going in circles.
The physics aren't right, so it loses that entertainment aspect of it. I don't know.
It was
just
lame.
not a great
lame
game.
Sauce.
But it was a thrift shop game. I spent $1.99 for it for some reason, and overall,
don't buy it.
Don't buy it. Just get Gran Turismo if you want to play a decent racing game. If you really are that into NASCAR, get a newer NASCAR game that the physics are actually working correctly. So yeah, that's all of our thrift shop games that we played.
So moving on.
Yeah, let's talk about our Facebook contest. So right now, if you jump over to our Facebook page, you will see our contest post. Basically, just like, share, and comment on that post, and you will be entered to win an Xbox Live Gold 3-month card. It's just a way for us to get a chance to say thank you to all of the people out there that are subscribed on Facebook, that are listening to this podcast. Jump over there and just comment, share, and comment on there, and we'll put you in for a drawing. And then on July 1st, when our next podcast episode comes out, we'll announce the winner on there. And that episode is actually going to be of Half-Life 1 on the PS2. So I'm really excited to talk about this game. I'm excited to see some new faces on our Facebook page. Thanks for joining us for this different episode of Zap Night. I hope to do this a little bit more with Kaylie not being quite as involved as she has been in the past, at least for a little while longer. We might do a couple more of these special episodes that aren't quite a full video game review, but kind of talk about a lot of the thrift shop games that I have. I have a ton of these thrift shop games. I need to go through them and just kind of play them, if only for 15 minutes apiece. So thanks, Kaylie, for joining us again. I look forward to having you on a little bit more. And thanks, everybody, for listening. And we will catch you guys in a couple weeks on July 1st for our review of Half-Life 1.